Hi, this is Robert Camp with lesson number 3 of You Can Read Your Destiny. And today we're going to talk about relationships. In this system, it is so amazing how much information you can get about relationships. People are blown away by it, by the accuracy of it, by how meaningful it is. And it's been hardly discovered, really. It's still relatively new. But you can learn a great deal about any relationship you're in using this system. You can find out, for example, is it a good relationship or a difficult one? Who is it difficult for? If not both people, which one? Who is the leader of the relationship and who is the support person? Is this a past life relationship or is this a new relationship? And you can look at the future of the relationship too. You can look for whether this relationship might last by looking ahead into your yearly spreads. Let's get down to how this actually works. So all the connections for lifetime are found from the two spreads you see here, the life spread and the spiritual spread. Connections found in the life spread are derived or tell you how your personalities interact. Whether it's a smooth interaction like with Venus and Jupiter and Moon, or whether it's a challenging aspect like Saturn or Mars or Pluto or Karma card that would make the relationship be difficult. And we search for all the connections that you have with another person using your birth card and your ruling card and their birth card and their ruling card. And we order these connections in the order of their strength, putting the very most important ones first, and they gradually get less important until when you get down to number 6 and number 7 in the list, if there is that many, you probably won't even notice the energy of those connections all that much. Okay, so I'll be showing you that list here in a second. Life spread connections are how your personalities interact, and spiritual spread are also, these are past life connections. When you have a connection in the spiritual spread, it's because you were together before. And the energy that you feel and experience with them came from being before. I'll explain that a little bit more in a little more. So if you have a Venus connection in the life spread, you like the same kinds of things. Excuse me. You like the same kind of movies, same kind of food. You like the same kind of sex, most likely, because that's what Venus does. In the spiritual spread, you just love each other. If you have a Venus connection, you just love each other. You don't know why. But it's because you were together before and you were probably married or you were in a significant relationship where you worked it out and you came to a place where you really learn to love each other. So you feel that when you meet. It's one of the love at first sight connections, the spiritual spread Venus connection. And when you have that with somebody, you like them even if you have nothing in common. You may have nothing in common with them, but you still like them. You just like them because you like them. You learn to love them so deeply in the past life. So these connections are determined primarily by how many spaces apart you are in either one of these spreads. One space is Mercury, or we just use it as moon, sun, moon. 2 is Venus, 3 is Mars, 4 is Jupiter, and then it goes Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and so forth. That's the main way. And we can go direct, which is diagonally, side to side, or we can go vertically between two cards. Like if you have a 10 of hearts and Queen of clubs, you go Mercury, Venus, Mars, and it's a life spread Mars connection between the 10 of hearts and Queen of clubs. Okay. So it's a little more involved than that. So it's an involved process. I just wanted to give you the basics of it. You could also go diagonally with connections. Okay. And those are called mutual connections, and they're very strong. But the software does all this for you, so you don't have to. Okay. And the other thing is the software is actually way more accurate than the Love Cards book, which presents a scaled down version of the system because it's impossible to put this thing in a simple form that anybody can learn. So we had to simplify the system, and in doing so, we've lost some of the significance of some smaller and important elements of the system. So if you have somebody you really want to know about, you should look at the software or get one of our reports, which give you the total picture in depth. Okay. So let's take a look now. This is our software. Now, you can have connections in the yearly spread as well as in the life. This love card software, which is our love cards online, this does lifetime connections only. That's what it does. And lifetime connections are the most important. Yearly relationship connections are transitory. They only last for a year, and they may only last for actually 1 period or 2 periods. So their significance, though it may be important at the time, are not significant overall. Because if you're thinking of long term, the connections you have with somebody for life are way more powerful. However, the yearly connections can tell you when somebody might show up in your life, when you might interact with them. They might come, when they might go. So here's an example. We're doing, like in here, we're doing a Queen of Clubs, 5 of Spades, and a King of Clubs, 4 diamonds. And when we look in this Queen of Clubs spread, we see the King of Clubs as a vertical Mercury. So being in Mercury means there's going to be good communications with this person. And there's a 2 of diamonds there. So in this particular case, it looks like they might have got together for business reasons, because 2 of diamonds is a business partnership card. And you don't see this King of Clubs anywhere else, nor do you see his 4 of diamonds anywhere. So it's not a significant relationship this year. He's not showing up here in a very significant way, just in Mercury, and then that's it. Usually I find that if it's a significant relationship, people are going to be together, it'll show up later. It'll show up in these long range, year-long cards, or as a result card. This is when you know it's going to be something a little more significant. Okay. Now, and our software doesn't find the yearly connections, but we do have a report that you can run on our site, and it'll give you, I think it's either 3 years or 5 years. It'll look for this person and tell you when their card shows up and what that means. It's called a yearly relationship report. Okay, we're not going to go over all the connections here, but I'm going to talk about the software. So the software orders these connections again in order of their importance. Number 1 is the most important connection. It's the strongest one of all. And then you got the ones on down the line. So let's just click on this. It says sample is moon to test. Okay, so here we go. The Queen of Clubs is moon to the King of Clubs, and it gives you, look at the depth and the length of this interpretation compared to what's in the book. It also puts the people's names and the proper pronouns into the description, so it reads like a story of your relationship, and it's highly accurate. This one is found in the spiritual spread. This is a past life moon connection. Past life moon means you were married before, and you had that energy. And the person that was the husband is the sun person, and the person that is the moon was the wife in that relationship. And that energy carries forward, and you tend to hook up with that same energy. Okay, the second connection is Saturn. Now we think Saturn is really bad, but Saturn in the spiritual spread is actually not that bad. It means that one of you was the father to the other person, and there is like a fatherly child relationship where the person that has the other person as Saturn looks up to them in a respectful manner, and they might get good advice from them. But a life spread Saturn connection can be very difficult because you can be very critical of the other person. Let's see if this one is life spread. No, that one's spiritual spread too. And even number 9. Okay, number 9 is life spread. But number 9 is so far removed from the top, I wouldn't even consider this to be all that significant. What you do have is moon, you got Mars, you got another past life Mars here. You've got a Venus, another past life Venus connection. So this, when you have a preponderance of spiritual spread connections, you know that this relationship came from a past life, and it's really operating from what happened before. And these connections can tell you basically how it was before, because it's being carried over into this lifetime. If they're mostly life spread connections, it means it's a new relationship. And, you're just exploring, and you can see how you get along with the connections, but you can't really determine the outcome or anything like that. You can just tell, how you two interact together. By the way, I wanted to mention that these connections point out unconscious energies that are present between you and somebody else. You may not even be aware that you're acting out the way these connections tell you, but somebody else can look at you and say, yeah, that's true. That's exactly how it is. Okay. And we cannot control that. You cannot control how you react to other people. The connections tell you. I mean, you can do your best to be aware of your behavior and to modify it, but you're going to find, as I've found in 30 years of using this system, that overall, you're going to end up acting out the way these connections are. So it really is important that you have good connections with somebody. If you have difficult connections with somebody, it's pointing out to you that you have difficult connection with yourself, and you've found somebody that can mirror that for you so that you can learn to love yourself more. That's the only reason you would be attracted to somebody with whom it's very difficult, okay, is that you have misgivings about your own self-worth or self in some way, and you need somebody to be the mirror of that so that you can learn then to love yourself, okay? So the software tells you everything you need to know. It lists them here in order of their importance, and you can even run a report. You have to purchase a report, and you can get volume discounts, or you can order the pro version of this software, which includes unlimited reports if you want to have reports. Okay. So that's basically how it works. I think if you start using this and read these interpretations, you're going to find they're amazing in how accurate they are. And one thing I added when I wrote these was I added an affirmation for each connection, for each person. Like this is the way that this connection can be expressed in its highest form. So it's something that's not in the book as well. So I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you enjoy getting the best out of the system for all of your relationships. Thank you.